YouTube, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to the show. Another amazing episode lined up for you. Listen, turn up your volume, kick up your feet, and stop scrolling. What I'm about to show you, it's about to change everything. We're talking about Ripple, one of the biggest names in crypto. I'm about to drop a bombshell on you. Their partner, BNY Mellon, the world's largest custodian bank, they are reportedly testing tokenized deposits on chain. And if that doesn't make your heart race, because it should, I got something else for you. Because this is the moment where institutions officially entered the blockchain era. Here's the wild part though. This all connects directly to SpaceX, Coinbase, and even Bitcoin's next institutional wave. You're about to see how all of these seamlessly random headlines are actually one story. A story that ends with Ripple and XRP sitting at the center of a $1 trillion transformation. So you don't want to make sure you stick around to the end, because by the end of this video, you're going to understand why the smart money in the world is quietly all moving on chain while everyone else is sleeping, are arguing about price targets and if the top's in, if the bottom's in. Folks, forget about it. There's bigger things going on. We're going to jump right into it. You see it right here on your screen. SpaceX. Yeah, you know, that rocket company out there, right? The same team that's building Mars Colonials now holds over $1 billion in Bitcoin. Look at this. Let this sink in for a second. When Elon Musk's companies are buying Bitcoin, it is no longer about speculation. It is all about strategy. These are the long horizon thinkers. They see Bitcoin as the digital foundation of a new financial system, one that's borderless, transparent, and absolutely unstoppable. So every time a company like SpaceX adds Bitcoin to its balance sheets, folks, that is a signal. We trust math than more than we trust the monetary policy that exists today. And this right here, well, it's the spark for the next wave, because when the companies building the future start storing value in Bitcoin, you know what happens? Everyone else follows. And if you're not following my other YouTube channel, now's the time to get over there. 2 videos every single morning come out. We cover the latest and greatest in crypto news. It's called the Bullwinkle Blueprint. You're going to want to make sure you look it up on YouTube and give it a follow. And then we get this, because it's not just about SpaceX here. No, it sure isn't. The Smarter Web Company, a tech firm building the future of decentralized internet, well, they just added 25 more Bitcoin, bringing their holdings to over 2,550 Bitcoin. Now, I know what you're thinking. That might not sound like headline breaking news, but this is how institutional adoption looks in real time. Quiet, consistent accumulations, no hype tweets, no marketing stunts, just stacking stats like it's the most obvious move in the world. They're not trading, everyone. They are positioning, because they know that when regulations catch up, and regulations, they're going to catch up, and the floodgates open, you won't be able to buy a size at these prices anymore. And speaking of regulation, well, look what's happening in the US right now. Coinbase's CEO, Brian Armstrong, he just confirmed that clear crypto rules are finally coming to the US. Now, in the last video, we showed you the White House. They stated that in Q4 of this year, they will have policies coming out. Now we see CEO of Coinbase talking about the exact same thing. Clear rules. This is the institutional phase of the cycle. We've talked about this a lot. Right now, what we are seeing are all the institutions rushing into crypto. Goldman Sachs, Fidelity, BlackRock, you name it. Why? Well, because they know that the regulations are going to be here. The uncertainty that kept Wall Street on the sidelines, it's coming to an end, everyone. And when the rules get clearer, money, it gets confidence. I mean, we're talking about pension funds, asset managers, and banks, all waiting for that one green light. Let's listen to Brian here.
There's now one more piece of legislation that, as you said, got bipartisan support in the House already and now is being debated in the Senate. And this is what we call market structure legislation, which just simply means it's covering all of the non-stablecoin crypto assets, things like Bitcoin and Ethereum. And it's resolving some of these outstanding issues from the last administration that got weaponized by people like Gary Gensler trying to go after the crypto industry because it wasn't clear, were these a commodity, were they a security? So this legislation is making great progress. I've never been more bullish on the chances to get it passed into law. This freight train has left the station, and there's people on both sides of the aisle in the Senate that are eager to get this legislation put on the books. Now, this hasn't stopped the big bank lobby from coming in trying to throw a wrench into things. They actually want to go in and ban rewards on stablecoins, and that was already settled in the prior Genius Act that I just mentioned. But I'm not too worried about it. The senators we spoke to aren't really going to entertain reopening that issue, and so hopefully this legislation gets passed into law.
Isn't that interesting? Where have we heard that phrase before? This train has left the station. Perhaps Rosie Rios, who sits on Ripple's board? Brian Armstrong taking a page out of Ripple's playbook. We've talked about it before. Coinbase is copying Ripple's every move. Look at the bank charter. Ripple went up to the bank charter, and now Coinbase is. Coinbase using the exact same phrases that Ripple uses as well. This is the moment where compliance meets conviction, right? It's no longer if they come in. It's how fast they move once they enter the space. And when that happens, well, guess which asset's going to benefit first? The ones that already have deep liquidity, the ones that already have enterprise partners, and the ones that already have real-world integration. Hint, hint, wink, wink. We're not just talking about Bitcoin anymore. And then let's zoom out for a second. Anthony Pompliano's out here. He dropped a fire video. And he's right. Look, Bitcoin, it has no top. Because your fiat, it has no bottom. And that's not just a meme. Every time governments print more money, they're devaluing everything denominated in it. Let that sink in for a second. Bitcoin isn't going up. The dollar is going down. And the institutions see it and they understand that. That's why they're not waiting for dip signals or influences. They're hedging against a broken system in real time. Listen to Pop here.
Bitcoin is the very simple story. They are never going to stop printing money. So therefore, Bitcoin will never stop going up. And if you simply think of Bitcoin as savings technology, all you have to do is go out, work hard at your job, make money, spend less than you make, and then put the extra savings into Bitcoin, and then allow Bitcoin to benefit from what we know is going to happen, which is they are never going to stop printing money. And I think that simplicity is actually very attractive to some cohort of investors. And I see investors saying, wait a second here, this quote unquote debasement trade means that I don't have to go do all that work. I can simply just go and buy something like Bitcoin. And I think that really maybe the story of finance of this decade is that Bitcoin is becoming the hurdle rate, right? Historically, we've looked at things like the S&P. If you go back to 2020, the S&P is up 100% since 2020. Priced in Bitcoin is down 90%. All of the returns that people are talking about in traditional finance, most of them are negative because no one can beat Bitcoin. And so if you can't beat it, then we just say you got to buy it. And I think that's what a lot of investors are starting to do.
If you can't beat it, you got to buy it. But look, if Bitcoin is the hedge, what's the infrastructure that actually runs the new financial layer? That's where Ripple comes in, everyone. And then we get this. Let's start with this. This is CNBC about 2 months ago when Ripple was on CNBC talking about their partnership with BNY Mellon to serve as a custodian of the stablecoin. Because we're going to get really deep here. We're going to get super deep, especially what was just announced. Listen up.
Ripple announcing just moments ago that it's partnering with BNY for BNY to be its primary custodian for its stablecoin. Joining us first on CNBC, Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse. That's a nice shot, Brad. It suits you well. You're looking very, very, even presidential almost. Welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here. Good to be back on Squawk Box.
You need a custodian for your stablecoin. Why BNY?
Well, look, I think as the crypto industry has emerged from kind of the last administration where the industry was being attacked, working with the most trusted, the most well-regulated, and even the best capitalized partners is a way to continue to build trust in this system. And stablecoins at their core, by their nature, it's a dollar backed with a dollar in deposits. BNY Mellon has, for a very long time been amongst the most trusted partners out there as a custody bank. So we're really pleased. We think it's indicative of the shift of tide where we've had headwinds for this industry are now becoming tailwinds. And I think we're going to see a lot of growth.
I mean, all the way back.
Let's stop it there for a second. There's been a long-standing NDA between BNY Mellon, the world's largest custodian bank, and Ripple. And that NDA, it's reportedly set to expire soon. Why does that matter? Well, because it hints at something massive is brewing behind the scenes. Ripple's been laying the rails for institutional money to move on-chain for years. And now the banks are finally stepping into the same ecosystem. I mean, we're talking about tokenized assets here, instant settlement, cross-border liquidity, all powered by Ripple's tech stack. When that NDA lifts, the truth drops. And the truth is, institutions, Well, they are officially in crypto. And who remembers this picture right here? You see blown up on your screen. Talking about Vanguard, Santander, BlackRock, MoneyGram, PNC Bank, SBI, Accenture, CME Group. All of these connections are starting to come to life, but it gets deeper than this because it's actually already happening. This news came out. BNY Mellon is exploring tokenized deposits and blockchain-based payments. Now, we just showed you the clip of Brad Garlinghouse talking about this and announcing that partnership a couple of months ago. Now we see BNY Mellon, with all the regulations and the clear rules that are coming, have announced that they are getting into the crypto and blockchain game, right? We're not talking DeFi, we're talking about TradeFi here, transforming from the inside out. This is the same BNY that holds trillions in client assets, and they are now testing crypto rails for settlement. What asset do you think that they're going to use, everyone? You see who they're partnered with. This is what every builder in the space has been waiting for. Real money, real infrastructure, and real adoption. And who's standing right beside them? Well, Brad and Ripple. You know, Ripple, the company who's building the bridge between traditional finance and blockchain liquidity. And don't forget about this article that came out in June of this year. This is where the final piece clicks in. Ripple officially selected BNY Mellon to custody its RLUSD reserves. That's the connective tissue we've been waiting for. So BNY isn't just testing tokenized deposits. They are literally holding the reserves for Ripple stablecoin. That's the partnership at the highest level. So let's tie that together, right? SpaceX holds Bitcoin. Smart Web Company is accumulating among plenty of other companies out there. Regulations are coming. BNY Mellon is testing tokenized payments. And Ripple, the company that's been playing chess with everyone pretty much out there, and while these other smaller companies are just playing checkers, they're right in the middle of it all. This isn't the start of a bull run. This is the reset of the global financial system, and crypto is the operating system. So here's your takeaway. The big institutions on earth are quietly locking in their positions before the headlines hit. Bitcoin's the entry point. XRP and tokenized assets are your infrastructure. And this time, the train's not waiting for retail to catch up. When you see names like SpaceX, Coinbase, BNY Mellon, and Ripple all converging, that's not coincidence. That is coordination. So if you're watching this right now, guess what? You're early. You're ahead of 99% of the world that still thinks crypto is just speculation. Because the truth is, it's not speculation anymore. It's integration. That's how far we are along. And the next phase of global finance, well, it's already on chain. I hope you enjoy. Look, make sure you smash that thumbs up on your way out. Subscribe to the channel. And I'll catch all y'all